Alrighty, good morning, everybody. This is William Chung speaking of CoreTradingConcepts.com. I'm the founder and also the author of A Guide to Core Trading Concepts. With this much said, here's this window over here is my time and sales window. Right beside this is my level 2 window. Over here we have our executions window, my profit and loss or my position summary window here. Charts, we have a 2-minute chart, 5, 15, and hourly chart. The markets are gapping down today, so as you can see by this indication over here with this price label. So the bias is obviously going to be a short unless proven otherwise. We're going to use the 2-minute chart to evaluate whether or not we're going to enter right away or when we're going to enter, and make some decisions as the time goes on, with the ultimate intention to play the 5-minute chart. And of course, the lines that you see here in the pale yellow are going to be areas of support and resistance, and targets are going to be over on the hourly chart. Alrighty, so the market's about to open in another minute or two. Just a quick note, all the archives of the videos can be found over on the blog page of CoreTradingConcepts.com. We welcome any type of feedback and look forward to your subscription to CoreTradingConcepts.com, and we'll keep you up to date on anything that takes place over on our website. So with no more further ado, market's going to open up in about another minute or so. Quick evaluation, a little bit sideways on the hourly chart. It was trending up from the prior day, now fairly sideways, range bound, with a gap down taking place. Gap down will be roughly around into the 246.40 area, so it'll be around this area here, coming into support at the $246 range. What else can we see? At the 240 area, 245 area, which will be around here, it looks like it's going to be gapping down below the prior day's low. And we'll have to be careful because we could, with this momentum and the current uptrend on the daily chart of the spiders, we can anticipate some ongoing momentum to the upside. Alrighty, so the market has opened, and we're going to have to sit back and wait until we get some viable signals. These two bars that you see here on the 2-minute chart are pre-market bars, and this single bar over here that you see on the 5-minute chart, the first one, is also a pre-market candlestick. Alrighty, so at the moment as we speak, the bias is to the downside, and we're going to look for an entry to the downside, knowing full well, or at least anticipating, that there's all kinds of bigger time frame momentum to the upside. So it might prove a little bit difficult to trade through this, but we'll do what we can. Alrighty, so we have a little bit of a tail taking place over on the first 2-minute candlestick. A little bit of a flurry there. Perhaps we should just give this another minute or two so we get a impression whether or not this price is actually going to move higher and try to fill the gap based on the higher time frame momentum, or if this is going to cause a downtrend. Alrighty, so we don't have a whole bunch of conviction at this moment, albeit although the market's only been open for roughly about 2 minutes now. Not a whole bunch of conviction. Now remember, the gap play time and reversal of the gap play time usually is about for the first 5 minutes, so from 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 9:35 a.m. Eastern. And then we could typically anticipate a reversal On that same note, there isn't anything on the economic calendar for government news reports or releases, and until I believe it's 1 o'clock, and of which it's not a significant market moving report that will be released at 1 p.m. Eastern. Alrighty. So this is the first little bit of a red bar that we're seeing taking place here. Not too terribly convincing. If I do take this trade, my stop has to be right slightly above the high of the day. But at this moment in time, it's difficult to tell. There's a lot of red going through the time and sales, which is probably the only thing that really makes it attractive to give that a go. Matter of fact, I'll just leg into the position as usual with a 100 shares and be out if the high of the day gets broken. Alrighty, so we have a little tiny bit of momentum to the downside based on the candle. However, we're getting quite a bit of green mixed in with predominantly red. So think I think we need a little bit more information here. Alright, so it looks like price is moving down just a tiny little bit here. And I think what I'll do is I'll add another lot to this. So now my average price is the 53s, current price is the 50, well, break even 53s. And we'll have to be cautious how this plays out. This is obviously a favorable sign on the 5-minute chart. Big giant tail over on the first bar of the day, which makes it attractive. Of course, the low of the day or the low of the day range area is an area that we're going to keep an eye on, see if that holds, although it's a little bit early to, and that's actually a very small bar. We'll have to see how the market participants play this momentum out for the first few minutes. Alrighty, so we do have a little bit of green coming in, and we're coming into the low of the day over here. And yeah, so it doesn't seem like it's too terribly powerful at this moment. We'll have to keep a close eye on it. Any type of retracement will have to be dealt with accordingly. Alrighty, so we're certainly not getting that multiple red bar to the downside run that we'd like to see. So if the price comes up to, let's say, my average price is the 53s. If the price breaks over the top of this current bar, I might take off one of my two lots. So that would be around the 45 area. All right. So it looks like we are broken in down to a new low of the day. On that same note, On the 5-minute chart, this is fairly attractive. Okay, we have a little bit of a retracement here. Alrighty, so this is what I'll do. Well, there's my 45, so I'll take one lot off. And if it goes to the 47s or 40, if it prints the 47s inside the time and sales, I'll take the other one off just for the simple sake of minimizing risk, putting like a few dollars in the bank, if for nothing, no other reason, preserving capital and letting the market pay for any type of commissions or expenses. Alrighty, so we're going to exit this position here, and we'll go flat. We're sitting on $14 profit, realized profit, inside a 2-minute, what some people may call a buy setup, and we'll see how this plays out. Once again, the bias is still to the downside, specifically because of the nature of the gap down, and prior to the gap down, there was a sideways movement from the prior day, which may end the trending power or the momentum that was taking place previous to yesterday. So this could be the first start of a down move. So my bias is still to, at least at this moment during the gap period or the gap hour, my bias is still to the downside. However, my bias for the bigger time frames, something I would perhaps consider a little bit later on during the day, to be to the upside. Alrighty, so looks like we have a topping tail here on a sideways move. What would be ideal in this case scenario is if the bottom of this bar was taken out. If the bottom of this bar gets taken out, I might consider adding to, creating a new short position. So let's say if it goes below the 40 area, 39 area, prints the 39s inside the time and sales. Alrighty, clearly lots of back and forth. You can tell through the time and sales, a little bit of yellow and green, which means that there's a stronger indication that the price will start moving higher. Alrighty, so there's the 41s, looking for the 39s to print. Don't think we got any 39s in there. Alrighty, so clearly we're not getting the multiple red bar down move, at least not in the nature that I was anticipating or looking forward to trading. Fairly sideways still. These three bars, even though they do have lower highs, um, not getting a whole bunch of information here. Everything seems awfully sideways. I'll continue to have my bias to the downside. Even if the price comes up a little bit higher into this range here, I'll still have a bias to the downside, at least until perhaps 11 o'clock or so, maybe 10:30, and we'll see if the other market participants decide to drive the price up or lower by that period of time. Alrighty, so now price is coming up a little bit, going into the 250 area. We're going to look forward to shorting it on the first reversal bar to the downside. If we get that, it'll still be any type of reversal bar will likely still be within this range. Hopefully, it can get past that range, and we can prosper a little bit more. Alrighty, so here we go. So now the price is challenging the high of the day. We're going to keep an eye on that for a reversal sign of some form or another. Then we're going to try to short it again, providing that the move to the upside is not so strong that it becomes a problem. Nonetheless, we'll safeguard our position wherever the topping tail or reversal bar takes place in this area here. We'll certainly have to make sure that the high isn't taken out after we enter. Otherwise, we have to be out. If the reason why we got into the trade is taken away, then we have to be out of the trade as well. Alrighty, so we're at the 64s, 65s. Keeping an eye on this bar. Maybe that might turn into a reversal, maybe not. We'll have to really stalk this trade. Alrighty, so now we're down to the 62s. The high of this bar is about the 66s, and that looks like it might be reversing now. Alrighty, so we're going to take a 100 share position on the short side, and if the high of this bar gets broken, we're going to be exiting the position. All right, so clearly not too terribly exciting at the moment. Our entry price is the 55s, current price is the 52, 53s. Our stop is going to be above the top of this bar here where we entered, which is basically the high of the day. Alrighty, so now we have a green bar coming in. This green bar could potentially violate the high of my entry bar. So if that's the case, I need to be out. On the other hand, if this bar gets taken out or another bar forms or this bar turns red, we might consider adding to this position because now it becomes more on the attractive side that the bullish players are getting taken out. They're being overwhelmed by the sellers. But we'll have to keep an eye on this and see which direction, where the momentum is going to lead us, and make the decisions accordingly. As you can tell inside the time and sales, blocks of green and red are passing through, so there's not a whole bunch of, not too terribly convincing. All right, so we have a lot, well, there was quite a bit of size here on the level 2 ask side, and it seems to be going back and forth. So there's still the mixed signals that we're not really getting a whole clear feed on. All right, so this is a lot of red. I like seeing that lot of, well, now it's a lot of green. But we haven't gotten any type of confirmation. All right, so here's another red bar, and that one looks a little bit stronger. There was purple that went through on the time and sales, and I'm going to add 2 more lots to this, as it just broke the low of this bar here, the prior bar. And as it comes into the bottom of this bar, or this low of the range area, I may consider adding even more shares to it. I currently have 300 shares, average price is the 50s, current price is the 47s, 46s. Unrealized profit is $7, realized profit is $14. On another note, while we're watching price move around this area here, as you'll notice, I'm only using 100 share base slots. Otherwise, I've configured my hotkeys to trade in 100 share increments. That way we keep everything fairly real, so I don't scare too many people when I start adding 500 shares, 500 shares, 500 shares, or taking away 500 shares at a time. Try to keep everything on a very realistic level. Some have asked, why do I trade the spiders? I like trading the spiders because there's a great deal of volatility. I'm quite well versed in trading the spiders and the IWMs, specifically because they have the volatility, the volume, the average daily range, and the average daily volume that satisfies all my requirements to trade, to specialize in a specific stock. Alrighty, so we got a little bit of downside movement here, and it's challenging the low of this period here. So I'm going to add 200 more shares. I'm now up to 500 shares. My average price is the 46s. Current price is at the 41s. Alrighty. So the only way that we can prosper hugely is by looking forward towards this low of the day getting broken. As you can see, this area of support is being challenged, and we'll have to see if this breaks clear through. That means that this nullifies this specific area of support, and looks like it will. We'll find out as soon as this 15-minute candle closes, and if there's a bottoming tail that rescinds back up, we might consider this line of support still valid. Alrighty, so we have a nice little move to the downside. That's very, very attractive for our purposes, and we'll just keep an eye on it. I realize that we have been doing a lot of 2-minute evaluations and trading as a whole. But the intention of it was to keep the videos as short as possible and fairly active whenever possible. But if we have the opportunity to hold a trade longer and then move into a longer term trade or hold a trade for the rest of the day, I think that might be ideal. As you can see on the hourly chart, we're getting that red bar that I was anticipating from the gap down. Perhaps not as much of a rundown or as hard of a rundown as I would like to have seen, but that's okay. Alrighty, so we're getting a little bit of a green bar here. I'm going to take I'm going to take 200 shares off the table here. Put a few dollars in the bank. We're up to $51. I'm anticipating this to come up a little bit, and then perhaps carry to a follow through to the downside. And if that's the case, then I'll add those shares back on. Alternatively, if it breaks the low, this candle turns red and it breaks the low, of course I'm going to be adding more shares to it. Alrighty, so we have a little bit of meandering taking place. I'm going to take off another 200 shares, put a little bit more in the bank there, and my average price is the 41s, which is currently the inside the NBBO. I won't let it go too terribly far. This would be perhaps into the 50s or so, 51s. All right, so here's what potentially might take out this green bar. You also notice that I'm also watching this 5-minute chart and how this tail is currently forming. This will be fairly important to me. It'll give me an idea of the buying pressure and give me an indication about how I should be working this trade. All right, so that's a vote of confidence. It looks like this red bar is taking out about half of this green bar here. Whoops, perhaps I spoke too soon. Looks like this green bar here is going to negate some of this red bar. Alrighty, so I'm going to exit this position before it goes red on me. I'll take that as a break even. And I'll look for a reversal and perhaps a 2-minute downtrend taking place here. If I catch something that looks attractive or something takes place that looks attractive, maybe I'll try to I'll enter the drawing lines. Alrighty, so that's what we'll keep an eye on and give us some kind of indication. Okay, looks like it's coming in a little bit, losing a little bit of a top, a little bit of selling pressure. I'm going to re-enter this trade and look to be perhaps a little bit cautious, but at the same time a little bit aggressive if necessary. Alrighty, so 2 more lots. Alrighty, 2 more. So I'm now up to 500 shares. Average price is the 35s. Sorry, the 38s is my average price. Seems to be hovering around my average price at this moment, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Here we go. So a little bit more aggressive move. If it breaks down below, let's say, the 30s, or below this area here, this range here, I might consider adding to it. Oh, here we go. So I'm now up to 700 shares. Target will be basically the low of the day. If we see enough indication that it's going to drive lower, then we're going to hold the trade. However, we don't get that indication that it's going to keep dropping, then we're going to take some of the position off the table. Alrighty, so we're going to add a little bit more. As you can see, my average price currently with 900 shares is at the 34s. Current price is the 32s, so still need a little bit of caution in where the price currently is and need to protect it accordingly. Alrighty, so that gave this bar here, looks like it's breaking down a little bit. Maybe add one more time. And yeah, so we're a little bit, we can breathe a little bit easier. Current price is at the 25s and 26s. We're at the 34s, and things are looking okay. It's coming into the lows. Any type of retracement at this point in time where it cannot continue to go lower, we're going to take some shares off the table. My latest entry was at the 29s, so I don't want the 29s to be broken. Okay, so we're down in the 20s. All right, so if it hits the 20, if the bid goes to the 23s, I'm going to take out half of my shares. Okay, it goes to the 22s, I'll take out half my shares. All right, so I took off half. Average price is the 29, so I won't let it break the 29s. Oh, here we go. So I'm out. That was the emergency escape button. I exited the whole entire position because it started printing the 31s while my average price was the 29s. And with 500 shares, I didn't want this to move too hard against me, as you see right now, going to 35s, 37s, 36s. That's a little bit dangerous for if you're carrying too many shares. Now it becomes a situation where you're experiencing exponential losses as opposed to exponential gains, which doesn't work for me personally. And as you can see, here we have, let me remove this line here. Alrighty, so we do have that downtrend. Some of these tails seeming a little bit mixed at this moment, not really giving us a definitive idea, especially going into the new lows. Seems to be a little bit of price rejection. We've seen it on this bar here, pushed the price back up. We've seen it on this bar here, drove the price back up. It's still in a downtrend, but makes it very difficult to scalp an entry into it. Nonetheless, the high of the day, I suspect, may have been established already, so I'm still a little bit bearish on the market as a whole. We'll have to see what happens with this bar over here. If we get some form of indication that this is going to go higher, hopefully it does not go any higher than the high of the day, and we could potentially short it again. But at this moment, it's feeling awfully quite a bit like congestion. This on the 15-minute chart, we have some bottoming tails that look fairly bullish during a downside move, but we'll have to keep an eye on that to see if it actually remains. These tails actually prove any or give us any value. Alrighty, so we have another downside move. Just stay on the conservative side. I probably won't take it unless it breaks the low of the day. We'll see how much of this tail gets eroded away if this bar turns red and keeps going lower, giving us a vote of confidence that the bearish players are really selling off or putting a lot of pressure to the downside. But all these green candles in between red candles are quite the nuisance at the moment. All right, here we go. So red, green, red, green, red, red, green, red, green. Very, very difficult trading environment. The reality is that for those who like trading more of the trend trading style, obviously the entry would be around this area here on the 5-minute chart, and it would be the intention would be to hold the position all the way down until you can move the stops pivot by pivot. As I mentioned inside my book, A Guide to Core Trading Concepts. Alright, so I'm not seeing a whole bunch of conviction on either side. Actually, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this candle here. If this candle doesn't get retraced, all right. So perhaps nothing to watch there. Alrighty, so 4 candles down, green candle coming in. This may very well turn into a buy setup to go to the upside, but at the moment it's fairly choppy. Once again, red, red and green candles interlaced all the way through here. Alrighty, this is fairly interesting. This green candle seems to really want to spring to life here. Higher lows on the 2-minute chart. Not a whole bunch of information to be based on. A lot of tails on the selling pressure um, on the last 3 candles. And this one here, we'll have to see if it moves higher. If it does move higher over this range of tails, I might very well take a position again. Although this area here might cause a problem around this area. I guess that would be around the 45s, 50s. Alrighty, so that's a little bit bullish. So we're going to take 200 shares long and see if we can get something out of this. All right, 200 more shares at the 37s. So I'm in at the 33, 34, and 37s. Average price is the 35s. Current price is the 36s. Whoops. All right. So I need to make a decision here. If the 27s gets taken out, or around the 27s, I'll need to be out of this trade. All right, that looks a little bit better. Let's add two more lots to this. My average price is now the 36s. The current price is at the 38s. Alrighty, so it looks like we're challenging this prior area of high. That looks like 48s or so. So we're going to have to keep an eye on how price reacts into this area here. Well, perhaps not too terribly convincing of a move. Seems to look a little bit on the sluggish side here. Um, if it prints the, let's say the 45, the 44s inside the time and sales, I'll take 300 shares off. All right, so all right, so it prints. There's the 44s. All right, so I've eliminated 300 shares. Put a little bit more in the bank there. There we go. Looks like it's moving a little higher. Alrighty, so I'm going to take off another 200 shares here at the 42s. My average price, or for the last lot, or the 100 shares that I have, is at the 38s. Um, we might see this move back down to the downside, but this is quite the short retracement. On the 2-minute chart, it is actually a little bit more encouraging to see multiple color runs, multiple bar runs in one direction. We'll see if this gives us the downside move. If that's the case, at the 38s, maybe actually it's only 100 shares, so I might give that a little bit more breathing room. Maybe I'll give it down to the 35s or the 34s with 100 shares, just to see how this plays out. It looks like it's going to come back down, but we need a little bit more confirmation on this. Oh, maybe it looks like it's going to go back up. Alrighty, so quite the back and forth on the 2-minute chart, which is typical of the 2-minute chart, just a little bit more extreme than normal. But we'll certainly give that a lot of consideration as we evaluate the bigger time frames. Let's go back to the bigger time frames. So the hourly chart, as I mentioned earlier, it was trending up to the upside for the past several days. Yesterday it was fairly sideways. Today it was gapped down, and not much of a rundown, with a retracement on the second bar of the day. That looks like it's eroding away the first bar of the day. So there is a little bit of strength that's being displayed, upside strength that is being displayed perhaps from previous few days of momentum. So it's or areas of support resistance that we're looking at. On the 15-minute chart, we're basically looking at areas of support and resistance. Looks like price is a little bit caught here. Obviously, it may be playing a role with regards to the stock trying to move higher. As you can see, it did gap down and ran down a little bit with lots of bottoming tails. That gives it a little bit of a bullish nature, bullish flavor to it. If this breaks higher, that would be attractive, but if if the full body of these last two candles doesn't get broken, that would be ideal. Nonetheless, it gives us an idea if the stock is either going to go sideways or higher, at which time we'll initiate trades accordingly. But it appears as though this 43, this line here, I'm not sure what the value of that is. I believe it should be around the 50-ish area. It does actually carry some form of resistance. All right, so here we go back to the red, green, red, green, red, green kind of jambalaya. Alrighty, so looks like we're coming down a little bit. I'm going to consider buying it around this range here. If the stock comes down, it might be attractive to take a long or add to a long position around this area here. I believe that would be, I'm not sure what that is, 34, 36, 35 or so. Perhaps around the 35s. I'll consider adding a little bit to this position. All right, looks like it actually happened, and I didn't react fast enough. Alrighty, so I might have missed that opportunity. Looking for too many things going on here, or actually, not too many things going on. I think I'm a little bit distracted. Alrighty, so I think I missed that opportunity to add to my position when the price came down to the 35s. We still have an overall downtrend at the moment on the smaller time frame. Gap down, run down, tail. It does look a little bit lower, but at the moment as we speak, it certainly looks like there's some buying pressure by all these tails on the underside, looking for a price to break over this area of resistance, thereby nullifying the value of this area. As we come up to 10:22, this video is coming into roughly about the first hour, and here we go. So we have a little challenge of the high. On the 15-minute chart, it looks like it's breaking that area of potential support or resistance. And that's the nice little push. That should have been an entry for me. But we're coming into the roughly about the first hour of this video. And rather than prolong it, what I'm going to do, pretty thin day today. I have 100 shares left. I'm going to take this off the table right now. And you'll notice that I have a total of 4,600 shares, made $181, realized profit. And as a whole, it's been a tough trading day. This little area here, not much of a range. It was basically the high of the day. Looks like it was in the 62, 64 area. Actually, Yep, the 64s by the 18, so less than a 50-cent move. Not much to glean on that type of a move, especially with all these tails all over the place. Very, very choppy, especially going down to the 2-minute chart. Let me zoom out of the 2-minute chart, and you'll notice how choppy it is trying to hold on to a trade or justify holding on to a trade. We didn't get those multiple bar runs to the downside. We only have 2 here, another 2 here, a handful of bars, 4 bars to the upside. Makes it very difficult to trade and want to hold on to a position for any length of time. But nonetheless, I think it's fairly clear that we did manage to protect our capital. We also managed to minimize risk while we still made a profit. So within the first roughly about hour of trading, 56 minutes of trading, 54 minutes of trading, $181 for an hour is pretty good money. Now, mind you, we also, as I mentioned earlier, we also only used 100 share base lots to enter and add to positions and remove profits from it. So obviously these numbers here, if we were to change the default base lot size to something, let's say 500 shares, then we can multiply the total quantity or adjust the total quantity accordingly, and then of course the net profit, net loss, and realized profits would also be adjusted accordingly. So in this case here, 5 times more, so I guess that would be about $900 for 1 hour of trading based on the lot sizes if we were to trade 500 shares at a time. That would mean that we would have roughly about 20,000 shares traded. 23,000 shares traded for a $900 profit if I were to have traded this for my own purposes as opposed to for the educational video side. So that gives you a little bit of a feel about how I work my trades, what the thinking process is, what the management process is, with the mindset of minimizing risk, maximizing reward, while preserving capital at all times. I hope this video has been beneficial. My name is William Chung for CoreTradingConcepts.com, and I am also the author of A Guide to Core Trading Concepts. If you purchase my book, you'll notice that everything that we discussed or presented inside this specific video and all the past videos can be directly found inside the book, A Guide to Core Trading Concepts. And we hope that you'll visit us on our CoreTradingConcepts.com webpage, our blog page, as well as our chat room. I trust everybody will trade well, and I look forward to catching up with everybody soon.